Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced, and this is a game played in GCT, Super United, and this is a game played by World Chess Champion Gukesh Dommaraju and former World Championship challenger Fabiano Caruana, and this is round 4, and this is from the rapid section. So the time control is 25 minutes per player with a 10 seconds increment per move, and without further ado, let's start this game because this is going to be a very nice one. So here, knight to f3, we have the ready opening, d5. Normally, when you play the ready, you want to take control of the center as black. So here, just g3, just going for that main castles and main ready opening ideas. So we have knight to f6, bishop to g2, e6, and then we have c4 and bishop to e6. Basically, both players are trying to castle, and white nearly in the future is going to play d4. Both players are going to castle, and white is going to contest the center sooner or later. Something nice by Gukesh, trying to throw Fabi out of his openings, and he this b3, just fiend getting this bishop. And here black just simply castles, and here bishop to b2, but this c5, just trying to contest that center. And we have this c captures, knight captures, and this knight to c3, challenging that knight in the center, asking Fabi maybe he's interested in a trade, but Fabi says no, and he just develops. And here we have h4, trying to just push those pawns maybe all the way, trying to create an attack early on, but not really, because hey, just knight to f6 was played. Just you don't want to trade those pieces early on, especially when you have a chance, and in rapid time format you want to try and attack with the white pieces, and you want to definitely get a win. So here just cast by Gukesh, and we have this e5, just trying to take control of the center. We have rook to c1, and just this all these pieces are very nicely played, with the exception placed with this exception of this bishop, because this bishop is not doing that very much. It is supposed to be on this square, but and here just developing again a bishop to f5, and we have this d3, and after rook to c8, now you have all the pieces are developed, and definitely the battle is on. So here just knight to d2, you're just remaneuvering the knight, trying to get the knight into a right square, because the position is going to be closed and knights are definitely going to be helpful. So here bishop to e6 was played. Maybe you might be thinking of actually trading that bishop for a knight, but you know, it just never happens. But if that knight becomes too strong, you might be interested in trading that. So here knight to c4, just this knight to g4, and now finally going for that e3. If this bishop ever moves out this diagonal, there's definitely going to be some pressure on that knight. So here we have h5, just defending that knight. You don't want to have that kind of threat all the way till the end of the game. So here just queen to e2 and just a6. Now definitely Fabi is going to be pushing that pawn, kicking that knight out of that square, because that knight is definitely very powerful and targeting a lot of squares. So here just rook f to d1, just getting that rook nicely aligned with that queen, and here just b5, just finally going on with the plan. You don't want that knight to remain in that square. Knight to d2, and we have f. This position, there are a lot of moves Fabi can play. Fabi maybe just moving the bishop out of the square, and maybe even trying to go for this queen and getting the rook, connecting the rooks, getting that central square. But here what Fabi played was bishop to f6. Seems like a logical choice. You want to get that queen into the game, connect the rooks, get the rooks onto this file becomes an issue, because the idea that you want to open the position and actually release the pressure now becomes available. In this position, Gukesh played the very amazing move, which is this d4. Seems like a pawn sacrifice, but I can assure you it is. And now you see there are a lot of ideas that are available. You can also push this, and you can see that if the trade takes place, this will always be a troublesome piece, because that is also going to come with a check. So definitely not a great move by Fabi, and definitely he missed this. But you have to try and win this game now, because here just e4, still trying to close the position, but now just pushing the pawn all the way, not even caring about this knight. And Fabi exactly does that. He captures the knight, but after bishop captures, you're still going to lose a piece, and Gukesh is definitely going to get compensation for that. Here knight to e5, just challenging that bishop, but you just capture nonetheless, and that comes with an attack on the queen. So you have to move the queen, but first association so the capture, and after queen captures, now you move the queen. And for beginners, definitely you can see that there is not many actual ways for you to defend that pawn. I mean, you can try and get the queen here, but the rooks are going to come in here, and that is definitely not going to be a good move. So here the best move is just to get your knight into the attack. That is exactly what Gukesh does. That too, with an attack on the queen and the bishop. Here the only moves, queen captures, and here bishop captures. And after knight captures, queen captures, you have this queen captures on f5. You might seem like Gukesh has dropped his queen, but not really, because you get this check, and after now you just trade. So you have this position where black has 3 pawns on the queen side and 2 pawns, but black is definitely at a disadvantage, because here these are 4 connected pass pawns, and Gukesh is just up a pawn. But surprisingly enough, this position is definitely winning. And in Gukesh's hands, he's not going to leave this choice, because here rook to c7, and here just knight to d6, and it's only a matter of time. Where, you know, in rapid time format, you obviously have You obviously have less time, and then you have to calculate this really, really bad end game, and it's not going to be easy because here rook to d8 was played, but just e4, just pushing those pawn, getting those central pawns all the way, and removing that knight from that strong square. Rook c to d7, and we have e5, knight to e4, just asking for a trade and asking Gukesh, how are you going to win this? So here rook to e1, just attacking that time. We have knight captures, e captures, and just rook to c8. You could here capture, and I think that would have been the best bet because here after rook captures, maybe you try to have some pressure here, but then you get this, and then you have to defend. So it's a double-edged sword, but I think that would have been the best option for Fabiano because here you still have the two rook pair and maybe something. Maybe you can draw this, but it's just going to be very messy. But here after pawn capture, rook to c8 was played, just defending that pawn, but now just rook to e5. And we have king to h6, c captures, and rook captures. And after rook captures, now you're just left with a rook trade, and now it's only a matter of seconds before Fabiano resigns. So here rook captures, and just king gets into the attack. We have a trade of pawn. Definitely very educational for the young players to how you're actually going to win this because this rook is definitely cutting this line off. So all you want to do is slowly get your rook into the attack, maybe get the rook onto this square, try and force a trade, get the king in, and definitely it's going to be very easy because all you want is you want to get this king out of this stage and towards the queen side because only then you'll be able to send game. So here king to g2, rook to f6, rook to c7 check, king to h6, and you have rook to a7. This rook is now just paralyzed because if you capture this is game over. So here rook to c6, but just king to f3, and it's only a matter of time because here just king to c5, and this would have been probably the position where Fabiano should have resigned but Fabiano still tried, maybe hoping that Gukesh would do a mistake in time pressure, but here just rook to d2, and we have f4, rook to c2, but just king to d5, rook to d2 check, king to e5, rook to e2 check, king to d5, rook to d2 check, king to c6, rook to d3, and rook caps on a6, and after rook caps on g3, king to b7, rook to f3, rook to f6, just defending that pawn and also making room for to push this pawn towards queen. And we have king to g7, rook to c6, and after rook caps on f4, we have just a6, and it was on this move, on move 59, that world championship challenger Fabiano Caruana resigned the game, and in just 59 moves, Gukesh got this spectacular victory in rapid section of GC. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll definitely be coming up with a few more games as some of these games are actually really, really insane and you're definitely going to love it. Yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll be seeing you very, very soon.